You mentioned emergency savings fund. How many of these funds should we have?
Yeah.
What should be our goal?
So for your emergency savings fund, I always say it should be 3 to 6 months of your expenses. So we want 3 should be our first goal because we don't want to add debt to our financial landscape, right? We want to make sure that we're able to stay afloat. We don't want to be underwater. And so like I mentioned, all my things in my house are clogged up. I have a house sinking fund. So if something happens, I pull money from that fund to fix something in the house. But that also means I have to put that in my budget. So we're going back to the budget, that byline where it's like, okay, every month I'm adding in $80 into this fund and I'm not going to touch it unless it's for its intended use. Now for emergency savings fund, if we're just getting started, that could just be your big blanket. So mine is like a little more intricate because I'm like, I have a fund for my dog. I have a fund for my house. Yeah, she's old. So I'm like, let me just, in case,
you're so sweet.
I have to. Thank you. Yeah. So it's like I have a fund for my car, but it's like if we're just getting started, I'll just label emergency savings and you're going to put, okay, every month I spend $2,000. So my emergency savings should be $6,000. So that's going to be my goal.
Wow.
So, and again, it's like, well, I don't have $6,000. It doesn't, you don't have to have $6,000 to put into it immediately. It could say, okay, I'm going to fund my emergency savings over the next 12 months, over the next 18 months, over the next 24 months, whatever it is. But I'm going to keep adding this consistent amount into this particular account and I'm not going to take it out unless I have an emergency. And people oftentimes feel ashamed, like, well, I had to use my emergency savings. If you use it for emergency, that was the point.
Right.
You did what you set out to do, and that is the goal, right? So don't feel ashamed when you have to tap into it. It's there because now you don't have to go swipe and add to your, to your debt. So I'm a big supporter of emergency savings funds, but I'm also very, realistic. The economy is tough. It doesn't mean you have to fund it immediately, but you want to at least have a plan in motion to get it funded.
And when you say a fund, is that an account? Like just going to the bank?
So going to the bank is 2024. So I just open up an account. So there are a lot of different banks that you can have like buckets, essentially. Well, one bank does literally call it a bucket. So you can title it. So you can say emergency savings fund.
Got it.
And then I'm like, okay, so then now every time my check comes in, I'm going to send $40 into this particular bucket. And that's what, So I call them a fund, but you could call them like a bucket, a little whatever. I call them sinking funds because I'm like, when the ship is sinking,
I love that.
I have something to like help me stay afloat. So.
I love that.